Hey Vicky, how you doing?
Hi, Jason. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Let's jump straight into this. So, just really quickly for everyone, just kind of outline how this all started for you, and yeah, kind of what you went through with your process of OP.
Okay, I think it was culmination where I did sort of like a huge sort of exercise thing, won't go into it. And then I ended up with what I thought was all sorts of things that was wrong with me down below. I didn't know what it was wrong with me. Finally ended up in hospital. I thought I had appendicitis. I was sort of walking around the bench and could hardly move and thought I had something dastardly wrong with me. They checked me all over and finally had an MRI, and then they said that I had osteitis pubis, which I'd never heard before. It sounded pretty horrendous by the name, so I started Googling. Um, and each doctor wasn't really very helpful. They gave a name for it, but it didn't really help me at all. I had a steroid injection that was a little bit blissful for about 4 weeks, but it all came back. And I've since found out that, I really had to change my way of probably moving, doing, even thinking about pain to fix it, which you helped me with and got me on the road to where now, even if I get a tiny little twinge now, I don't think it's the end of the world. I know what it is, and I know the exercises, and I know the things to do to fix it, and I usually know what I've done. It caused.
That is actually just awesome, just like perfect encapsulation of everything right there. Um, let's flush out a bit of that. All right, I actually didn't know about the appendicitis thing. I don't remember that. I don't remember you. Like, I think I got you towards the tail end.
I was in such agony. My stomach was so hot and tight. That's how bad the inflammation was that they thought I had appendicitis.
Oh God, yeah, I definitely don't remember that. I think I got you to the tail end. You're probably so sick of telling the story at that point that you just like didn't bother.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, let's dial it back to like the beginning, right? So when we first started working together, and I started throwing some exercises to you, what were some of the difficulties that you ran into at that very first beginning stages that you kind of struggled with?
I think when I first started doing exercises, because I've been in so much pain, I kept on thinking, God, is this guy going to wreck me further? Is something going to go really wrong here? And I'm going to tear everything apart from my pubic bone or something. And I remember the first couple of weeks, I thought, oh, that was all right. But I remember the second week, I actually went out and did some gardening. And I was in agony. And I actually sent you an email and said, look, can't do the next session because I'm in agony. And you said, well, you really should do the next session. And so I went, oh, okay, yep, right, okay. I wasn't convinced, and I remember sitting in the chair, hunched over, feeling in pain, very sorry for myself. And you started working with me for an hour, and at the end of the hour, my pain was gone. And it was just amazing because now I know, even if I get twingy pains, and I've got some favourites, as you know, the goblin and a few other things, deep squats and slow up and deadlifts and all those sort of things, I know I can sort of stretch out the pain. And I know too, really pain's in the head. It's a reflection of what I was doing wrong, and it's saying to me, and so I know, okay, I've just got to do this, and I've got to, I think of it in my head, I think that there's this sinewy bit that I've wrecked because I've been doing something wrong, so I've got to get it and I've got to pull it out where it's all got all knotted up.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So what you're describing there is you're essentially taking like your experience, the physiological experience that you're getting in that pubic bone, right? And then you're going, okay, cool. How do I operationalize it? Like, what does it mean? So like, there's remember there was like pain and then there's the movement, right? And they're not the same thing. People think, oh, pain, like if I move, then the pain is because I've moved, kind of thing. When really what it is the pain operates on a different circuit. So if the pain's activating, the movement receptors can't notice what you're doing. So what you're doing is by visualizing it and seeing it and being like it's a sinewy bit, instead of listening to the pain and being like it's dull, it's sharp, it's like, it's not a physical thing anymore. It's not a physiological thing. It's a set of sensations, dull, sharp, stabbing. Those are all pain things. You're going, what is it physically? It's sinewy, it's stuck, it's not moldable, it's not flexible.
I do. That's what I think. When I'm doing stretches and pushing out, I think I'm teasing out all that knotty bit and just sort of pulling it out.
And so that's going to force the movement receptors to activate. And as like you know, and if anyone who's watching this, it's a complicated process. But the simplest way to think about it is if your body is focusing on movement, it will switch off the pain receptors. And if it's focusing on pain, it will switch off the movement receptors. And by Vicki making it a physical thing, a sinewy physical thing that she can feel that's not pain, not stabbing, dull, sharp, burning, neural kind of issue, she's then paying more attention to the movement because it's a physical thing that is moving and changing as she's moving it. And so that's actually dulling off her pain receptors. So if she's done something to irritate them, she's able to focus on the physical stuff and get information that's useful. So it's tight, and that's giving her pain. Well, she needs to make it untight. Those are things she can actually affect versus stabbing, dull, sharp. Like, these things are ephemeral. They're not like a real thing. Like, how do you know what to do with it? All you can do is curl in the fetal position and wait for it to go away, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're taking something that's like in the shadows and putting it in front of you so you can punch it in the face.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. What would you, of all the stuff that you did, what did you find the most difficult to kind of get your head around and learn?
I think the biggest thing was habit, because your body is so used to moving in different ways. And I remember once sort of saying, you said, what were you doing? And I said, I think digging the garden. And it was like, I dig the garden like I used to have to do ballet dancing, was tuck your bum under, make sure you're looking all straight and upright and all that sort of thing. And so I'd sort of get my foot on the spade and my bum would be tucked under. And it was, basically you said, well, actually you should be sticking your butt out and, getting into it. And so now even when I garden, and I had a friend around the other day and I get the spade out and stick my butt out and, I've got all the strength in the world. Where, why didn't I ever do it like that? I don't know. I sort of think, and cycling, I was, I love cycling, but I was useless going uphill. Don't say I'm not that wonderful now, but now I go, engage the butt, engage the butt, engage the butt. And it's just sort of reminding myself, where to use those muscles and not to fall back into that old habit of how I use my body.
I think what you're saying so eloquently there is essentially it's all well and good to do exercises, right? To take the pain away. But the pain will just keep coming back if it doesn't become part of your life, right? And what you're describing there is you're just going, well, instead of waiting for the pain to come and then having to deal with it, well, why can't I just live my life in a way that doesn't cause the pain, right? And so therefore you never have to deal with it. It'll never come on because you're always moving it, and all you're doing is integrating these skills that you work so hard to develop when you're working and doing your exercises. Why wouldn't you take advantage of them through there? All right, that is just really, really nicely put. Okay, if you knew someone's watching this video here and they've kind of gone through the same experiences that you've gone through, and they've kind of at a point now where they're really worried and they're not sure if they're going to get any better, and what would you, and especially someone who's in your your type of experience, who isn't necessarily a professional athlete or something like that. What would you want to tell them? What do you think is the most important thing that they sort of need to hear?
I think for me, it was that I went through a stage where I thought, I'm never going to be able to do all the things like paddleboarding and cycling, and I was getting quite despondent, about how I could actually do things. And then it's given, I now know that I'm actually better than I was before. Because I know now, if anything goes wrong, I've got some tools to fix it. I realise I've fallen into bad habits, or not bad habits, but the way I used to move. So now, what I mean is, I wouldn't have never believed, 6 months ago, that I'm actually almost pleased that I got it, because I've learned to move in so many different ways that sort of before inhibited me.
And yeah, it's funny, it's something I always like to say to people when they finish the program. It's kind of this idea like, I'll be really disappointed if you get yourself an ankle problem or a lower back problem or a knee problem. And not that they won't hurt occasionally, but that to get like a long-term knee problem and need a knee replacement or a hip replacement or
no one will ever take a knife to me.
Yeah. You know, like to get to a point where you get an injury that becomes chronic again, it's like, I would hope, like, you know, everyone who goes through this, like, program would be like, oh, I really understand how the body moves now, so I can, like, stop that stuff and I can fix myself. I don't need to, you know, sometimes maybe I'm going to need help from a therapist or someone to treat me or to, you know, if I get myself in a bad way. But this idea that, like, I'm in control, I understand how the body works, and maybe not enough to explain to other people, per se, but enough to be like, to visit another therapist and be like, you know what you're talking about. I'm going to let you touch my body, and you do not seem to know what you're talking about, and I'm leaving because you do not seem to know what you're talking about, rather than being completely at the mercy of other people and not knowing because you just don't have a good working model of your body. I really hope people by the end of it are in that position to make empowered decisions rather than to be kind of left in the dark, because some therapists are great and some people aren't, and you've got to be able to pick it.
I tell you what, it's just I feel so much more confident. You know, when I was at my age, you know, you start to think, oh, well, everything's breaking down, I can just have to give up on it, you know. And I think, well, no, I don't. What it is, I can be as fit as I want to or as lazy as I want to, really, because it's just, there's nothing to inhibit me apart from my mind, not my body.
Absolutely. Vicki, tell people your age, because people aren't going to kind of put some context.
Oh, do I have to?
Well, people might think you're a lot younger than you are. So when you say, like, go.
I'm 65.
Okay, because when you say when you're younger than you are, people might look at you and be like, well, you're not that old, so, like...
Oh, you are sweet. No, 65, and I've still got years of fun doing lots of exercise and travel and painting and art, and my body's not going to ever be an inhibitor to do anything I want.
I would say. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Vicki. Anyone who's watching this, I hope you can really take a lot. But yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for fixing me and just making me feel good about life. I know, you know, that if something goes wrong, I've got the tools to fix it for myself.
That's so awesome. Thanks, Vicki.